Today we're breaking down the Microsoft Surface Pro X.
Are hybrids the way of the future? We'll find out. Stay tuned for your daily charge. Welcome to the Daily Charge. Remember, the 5th of November. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Alfred Ng.
And here are today's top stories. Is the Surface Pro X worth your time? Our own Dan Ackerman breaks down this laptop-tablet hybrid. Unlike Microsoft's Surface Pro 7 laptop, the Surface Pro X runs on a different processor similar to the ones that run smartphones. So it's supposed to have better battery life, go to sleep and wake up in a flash, and include 4G connectivity. But just like those other Surface devices, Microsoft still makes you pay for accessories like the keyboard cover and the redesigned stylus. The Surface Pro X by itself is $1,000, but you need $139 for the keyboard and $144 for that redesigned pen. Alfred, what do you think?
Why do they keep doing this? This doesn't make any sense to charge that much for that keyboard.
It makes perfect sense if you're Microsoft and you want money.
Every time they show off the Surface, like any of their devices, it's always with the keyboard.
Yes.
It's never just like, yeah, you can use this as a standalone tablet and it's great. It's like, yeah, it's also a convertible that you can use with the keyboard. And they keep adding it on as like, oh yeah, by the way, it's like an extra $200. You can buy a new Chromebook for that price.
Right.
It's just, I hate it so much. I hate that they do this. It ruins their products for me, where it seems cool. It looks cool. From our review, it looks like a great device. But I would never accept that upcharge like that. And the pen too? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and it's actually $144 is more than the standard $99 for the Surface Pen. So this specific pen that was designed for this Surface Pro X is actually more expensive, almost 50% more expensive.
And it's not like backwards compatible, right? Like
No.
if I had a previous Surface, I can't take that keyboard and put it on this, right?
No, that's the thing, that because of a slight size difference, like you need to get a specific keyboard for this
What
Surface
a
Pro
scam!
X.
What? Because you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna spend like the extra $300 on this, and then they're gonna come out like another laptop next year. It's like, hey,
To be fair, if they, assuming, like, if you look at the Surface Pro on the standard Surface Pro line, the keyboards are backwards compatible for those, because the Pro X is a slightly different version. That's kind of a, it's like the cell phone or the Snapdragon processor-based version. It needed to be redesigned, I think. So theoretically, if you were to commit to this line, like if you bought the next upgrade over, you'd be able to take that keyboard up with you.
it is such a scam. It's just, why would anybody trust a company or buy into something like this when they're not including it? They want.
Let's be fair. Calling it scams a little bit of a harsh thing, since it's right up front, right there on the site. And Microsoft isn't the only one doing this, right? Apple does this with the iPad Pro, right? They show off the lovely keyboard and the pencil. Those are all extra accessories.
They should just come with it. It's such a racket.
All right, moving on to Facebook. Our own Megan Wollerton has a unique review on the Facebook Pearl TV. She threw out the nuts and bolts of the standard review and basically just said, stay away from this thing, based on the fact that Facebook has just got so much other drama going on, between concerns about how it handles our personal information to, its decision to run political ads with lies. There's just a lot of issues here. And so she's flat out saying, don't buy this thing.
I really loved it. I really think we should be doing more reviews like this, because I think that when we write reviews on a product itself and not the company around it, it's very much like one of those things where it's like, well, other than that, how's the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Right.
Right. Where there's so much going on.
Okay, that's a little dramatic. I mean, look, it's fascinating, and I think there is this increasing trend where you're not just buying the product based on the merits of the product. You do have to look at what the company is, the context around, how this company is behaving. And in this particular case, Facebook, there's just so many problems there.
Yeah, and my point is, I think we should be doing that for every company that we write reviews on. I mean, I appreciate a lot more that whenever we write a review on a Ring product now, it comes with the caveat of all the police partnerships that they have. But we could take it a step further. We can, add in things about, if you're going to have an Amazon Prime membership, by the way, their delivery trucks have been killing people because of the demand for one-day delivery. Context is extremely important around consumerism, right. And our review of the Portal TV was a great example of that.
Yeah, look, I think there's a fine line here, and with the Facebook thing, I think Megan sort of made the call. To be fair, she does note that the Facebook Pearl TV does work fine. In case you were interested in how it actually worked, snaps into your TV, turns into a giant portal, which I kind of question as to whether I even would want as just a product by itself, but and it also tries to be a streamer, but it's limited to key services like Netflix.
I imagine this is one of those things that like old people will love, where it's like I can talk to my son on the TV now, and isn't that great? So I really do think this is one of those things that like somebody's gonna get for their parents. And will not be reading this review or care that much about like privacy and
Facebook's
that's true.
Politics. Some folks aren't gonna worry about all the outside stuff. If the product helps them, they'll go with the product.
Yeah.
All right, lastly, Alfred, you had a story on 2 Chinese surveillance companies and how some experts fear they may be using CES to scrub their image clean. Break it down for us. What's this all about?
Yeah, so there's 2 Chinese surveillance companies one called iFlyTech, the other one called EasyViz, which is a subsidiary of Hikvision. If you're not familiar with these companies, they are
Let's face it.
So Hikvision is actually the #1 provider of surveillance cameras in the world. Including having $1 million deals with the Chinese government to put surveillance cameras in mosques and their Muslim detention camps in Xinjiang. So they have a subsidiary called EasyViz. They're based in California, where they make smart doorbells, like consumer-friendly products. They have a doorbell that has facial recognition and creates databases of people that show up to your door. So they are both going to be at CES. iFlyTech is the top provider of voice recognition in China.
Well, they're both listed as attending CES.
Yes.
We don't actually know if they will be going to CES yet.
Yeah, so they're listed as attendees, but they have attended in previous years where CES has given them innovation awards.
Right. So bring it back, though. The reason why we're talking about these companies is because the Commerce Department put them on an entity list, basically a blacklist for human rights violations, right?
Yeah, so they have contributed a lot of surveillance technology for the Chinese government, specifically for spying on Muslims in China. And that's why they were blacklisted for human rights violations. And the concern is when they're at CES, they'll be given this like friendly image of, hey, we make this cool translator device, or we make these cool video doorbells. Nothing wrong going on with us in China. We're not doing anything bad there.
Right.
Which is what they've taken the approach as. They've after they won the CES awards, they talked to Chinese media saying, we have this global platform now. We are a consumer-friendly company. And the big concern is that, they're using CES to basically give them this clean-cut, like, friendly image.
Right.
When there are a lot of government officials talking about how problematic they are. There's talks of banning them in the UK as well. And the Australian government has also, discussed basically not allowing them to have their technology in their country either.
Right. So we're still a few months, 2 months away?
Yeah.
2 months away from CS, so we'll see if the CTA does anything about it in the meantime. All right, so let's stop there, see what the viewers on YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope have to say. For new fans, we spend a good chunk of the show each day answering your questions and comments about the day's stories. So if you're curious about the features of the Surface Pro X or have strong feelings about Facebook further invading your personal space, sound off in chat and we'll tackle as many questions as we can fit in with the time remaining. BBG, what do we got?
We do never really have enough time to cover everything that we want to cover. I don't know why we ever got, stuck in this, the short 4 to 10 minute kind of window, but it's been a curse to us ever since. But at least we're not named after it anymore,
we should try
right?
to reduce the show format to, something around 4 minutes so that we have more time for answers.
Yeah, exactly.
That might be
Or maybe
idea.
3 minutes and 59 seconds, specifically.
Yeah, even more time.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. I mean, everything...
I don't know. That sounds crazy.
A little bit.
It's a little wonky.
So it is Guy Fawkes Day, and it is also apparently Worldwide Dungeons and Dragons Day. There's your little trivia for today.
Okay.
This guy Fox.
Roger, you said to be fair 4 times today. Can we start a drinking game?
We can.
I hope so.
I'm here to be extremely unfair, so
I'm here to offer a little balance and context to our coverage. That's all.
Yeah, I understand journalistic
Gotta
integrity and all.
have a counterpoint.
Yeah. To be fair, it's interesting to me. Let's talk about Facebook a little bit. Just because Facebook obviously was pitched as a college thing. It was for college students exclusively in the beginning. And now I'm not alone in thinking this. It's just for old people, right?
I'm old, so I guess, yeah.
I mean, college students are also old people.
What?
You considered that?
No.
They were very old to me when I was.
But
when
you're
Facebook
you're a
came
baby.
out. Yeah,
so
this is also true.
There's that. No, it's not just for old. I think it's an oversimplification. I think there's a lot. I mean, look, you can't dismiss a company that has what 200 billion,
They have 2.1 billion. Like,
2.1 billion users.
yeah,
What is the active monthly user?
it's
2.1
about
billion.
That much, yeah.
Yeah, so like it's not just for old people. 2.1 billion is a massive number. That's more than pretty much any. That's definitely more than any country in the world.
The largest
Yeah.
social network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that's larger than any population of.
Yeah.
Wait, China's what?
7 billion.
All right, fine. It's not. It's not
And
China.
also Facebook's not in China.
That's true.
Yeah. Like,
So
imagine
anyway,
how much.
But my
larger-
point being, it's massive. You can't generalize and say it's just old people because it's not.
I think that the majority of people that use it like frequently, like every day, or like people that are the most engaged with it are probably on the older side.
I mean, that might be fair. Yeah.
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 I mean, you made comment though when we were talking about how this appeals to your grandma, like your grandpa, how you want to
that's
talk
the-
to them
but
through
that's
the
the
TV.
specific- yeah, that's portal TV.
Or like the portal devices. Just because to be fair, younger people are using like what's it called? They're using more like apps like FaceTime, like video chatting is
Yeah.
like very in right now. But I don't really see them using the TV for that. Like honestly, I don't like the whole act of sitting around a TV and watching stuff with your family is not a young person.
I tend to
thing do.
agree. I like even my parents who are definitely on the older side. I mean, I don't think they'd want to sit in front of the TV. They've got an iPad. They're familiar
Yeah.
with iPads and iPhones and Android phones. They can do video chat.
Yeah,
so-
one of the interesting things about like as technology has grown and like we all have our own personal devices now, like the communal space has really kind of died out. Like you look at how like movie theaters aren't really that big. The living room is not like everyone has their own separate. Like,
I disagree.
Enclave.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think that's your perspective.
Okay.
And from your perspective, you're relatively young. I don't think that's. I think as you get older, you're gonna realize that communal space is actually gonna come back.
That's unfortunate, but
it is, but unless you really hate spending time with your family, I guess.
and people.
That's true. I can attest to that. I think it really depends on what your perspective is. I think like from your perspective, yeah, it's going away because you've got these individual devices. I think like from my perspective from a family unit, like having that communal area is still actually pretty important.
Okay.
Like I was watching a movie with my kid and my wife in the same room on the big screen TV because we wanted to do it together.
Yeah, I just think
So-
that like kids though, when something like that happens, like
Right.
they'll just be on their phone the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on the age and the dynamic of the household
Yeah.
for sure. Brian,
I'm looking for questions. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. Okay, so just as a little bit of a PSA, Yan is asking if we change the timing of the live stream. No, it is actually daylight savings time, which I didn't even think about. That doesn't impact everybody.
yeah,
so
you're
yeah,
right.
he's like, "Are you
America
guys
time."
late?" It's like,
we
no,
did not.
sorry.
Yeah, it's not us. It's America
It's dumb American time.
Yeah.
because we're really big into farming schedules still.
I think that's a myth.
Is
I
it?
don't think that's actually because like farmers wanted more like daytime to work. I've heard that a lot, but I don't think it's true.
Really? Oh, yeah, we'll have to
Um,
look that up.
Yeah, I was gonna look it up. I was
That's
like,
gonna
we also
blow
have a
me
show
away
to
if that
host.
is a myth.
Okay, so staying on the concept of the demographic of Facebook, Imagine Saki says, I found a lot of older people do not care about their data being used for other purposes. Definitely there is an quote-unquote too old to care stage. Do we have any data to kind of back that up? I know I would think I would agree with that just on my own gut instinct too.
Actually, what we do have data in terms of usage. Facebook usage still continues to go up. The number of users continue to go up. So there is actually pretty solid evidence that a vast majority of people don't care.
Yeah,
Frankly.
I
I think they're younger, more savvy users who probably do care and have stopped using Facebook. I know I have plenty of friends who are like that, but a vast majority of these folks are not.
And a lot of the
concerned.
times, it's very much just like I hate Facebook. I can't stand them like stealing my data or anything like that, and I'm quitting Facebook. And then you see this being posted on Instagram or something
Right,
like that,
right.
where it's still owned by Facebook, and they are 100% harvesting data on Instagram as well. It's just not as obvious because there
Yep.
isn't a
Yep.
massive scandal tied.
Yeah,
to
I
it.
love it when they're like, I'm quitting Facebook. I'm just sticking with Instagram, guys.
That's because they're quitting Facebook the app, but not
Yeah.
Facebook the
Right.
company
Right.
itself. If you missed it yesterday, Facebook decided to rebrand themselves as Facebook in all caps, the company. Normal spelling of Facebook is just the app now. So are you quitting Facebook the app or Facebook the company?
That's an interesting philosophical question.
Next question is coming in from Michael Brown. He says, I agree with Roger. Being able to have a communal area for activity for families is important. I like this comment from Commander Trium, too. They said, oh, God, is this the era of remote parenting? I think it is. So what do you guys think?
I'm pretty sure it already is, yeah.
But how do you define remote parenting?
Using apps and devices and gadgets and technology in general to try to stay more in touch with your child and other family members, I guess, but like I don't know, maybe an egregious degree, because I mean we've always used telephones and different communication devices.
It doesn't happen like obviously with me, 'cause my kid's too young, or both my kids are too young, but when they get to a certain age, like I think it's inevitable, like you kind of have to parent, and I don't think you can really be judged by that. I think it's just you're also adapting to what the kids are used to, what the kids are doing. So. And I think it's sort of inevitable that you have to do that.
You got a good point there. Commander Trium also says, do Chinese companies get away with passing information captured through their various corporate interests, i.e. surveillance, elsewhere in the world like the U.S. or Canada?
Yeah, so it's not just within CES. So the human rights researcher that I had spoken with talks about how, these Chinese companies behind surveillance have all these kinds of partnerships with universities as well, where, the universities will basically say, oh, they are, the top like AI researchers in facial recognition or voice recognition, and we need this kind of research. And they'll often tell like Human Rights Watch researchers something along the lines of, well, we're only involved with them for their AI research. We're not like supporting their human rights violations. But it definitely, it's all like it's a package deal. You can't say, I'm supporting this one company just for this part, but not like the part.
But I guess what the question's getting at though, or like in particular, like EasyViz, right? The U.S. arm, like are their products being used to gather information on us and sent back to China?
It's unclear. Like they're never gonna straight out go and say that, but like Hikvision is a company partially owned by the Chinese government. It's they literally have like Chinese government people on their board.
Well, isn't that standard for all Chinese companies though?
But no, but this one's like partially owned by them.
Okay.
Like this isn't just like people on their board.
I see.
So they'll never flat out just say like, yes, we use your data to help with like our military endeavors.
Right.
But that's part of the trouble with like it's a very blurred line there.
I think that's the same example with Huawei, right? That's the persistent concern of why we don't have Huawei telecommunications equipment in a lot of our major carriers, because there's been a persistent fear that information that they can siphon off or that runs through their network could somehow be sent over back to China. Although it's interesting that there are a number of sort of smaller regional carriers that do use Huawei equipment now. We actually have Huawei equipment all over the place. So,
from Michael Brown, a question for Alfred. Forgetting about the controversies for a second, why do you think people in your age bracket don't use Facebook with all of its useful features?
Because there's ways around it. I don't know. Like, I still have a Facebook page where I have it deactivated and then I just log back on anytime I need to get on. But I think on Brian's point, like I think most of us left because old people ruined it. Where I think like
boomer.
We did it, old people.
I ruined it. I remember like I stopped using it a lot less when I got like friend requests from my family members, and it got to a point where it was like, I can't like talk smack like as public as I used to. So it's like, this is kind of whack now. And I like, so in the same way, like I know Facebook knows that this is kind of a problem for them as well. There's a reason why they're moving to more like private groups, and like messaging apps rather than like this public like feed that anyone can see. They know the future is in like private communications, again, because, family members and old people ruined it. So you can go on Instagram just to get the same kind of like dopamine feed that you really needed from Facebook in the past. And then even then, like parents are kind of ruining that now, where like kids have to have like Finsta accounts instead. And I think that's why TikTok is like also booming, where parents are not
also
on
another lovely Chinese owned
Yes.
enterprise.
What is the deal with this new branding, by the way? I just have to ask because it's hideous. It's the same kind of dystopian depression that like McDonald's went from like a fun hamburger joint for families to hang out to like a depressed coffee bar. What is this?
It's 2019. We all have to have like Blade Runner looking kind of logos now.
Apparently.
No, so the reasoning they did this was because they wanted to establish that like we're not just Facebook, we're also Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus. That's why the color changes. It changes from like the blue Facebook to like the purple and pink like Instagram kind of colors.
Oh yeah.
And then the WhatsApp like lime green kind of
yeah,
look.
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me either, but it's part of their whole thing to like, because the FTC is investigating them right now for antitrust violations, and they're trying to build everything together as one brand. Like there was a story a few weeks ago about how if you worked at WhatsApp or if you worked at Instagram, your like email address like at
It's
Instagram,
different, right?
it just got folded into like at Facebook instead.
Oh,
So they don't want people saying like I work at Instagram or I work at like WhatsApp.
Got it.
I work at.
So
Facebook.
as one cohesive unit, we're harder to break up.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
That's most likely the biggest reason for like this logo redesign though.
Okay, we've asked this question a dozen times before, but what's a good alternative to Facebook? And before Michael Brown gets in there and says Google Plus, let's think about actual networks that are akin in functionality. You know, there are
There's
1,000 and a half different social networks out there, and alternatives and SMS and WhatsApp and all the other different things.
I don't think there's anything that really duplicates what Facebook can do, but I also think people aren't necessarily into what Facebook can do. Like for folks who are leaving, they don't necessarily care, I guess. I mean,
to be fair, like a lot of people are still on Facebook for like groups and things like that.
Yeah.
Where Bridget yesterday on our show was talking about how like mothers groups like in her neighborhood where they'll like you can't
my wife's big into those mothers groups. Those are hugely useful.
Like I'm really still only on Facebook for like dance groups, like to know where I can go to like practice and stuff.
I mean, I've just noticed like a bunch of friends and I, we used to use Facebook to coordinate events or meet up. We can't do that anymore because like half the folks are gone.
Yeah, so now I'm really only on Facebook for like spreading political disinformation, buying ads and lying to them, dissuading people from going out to the polls,
buying political ads, and making sure that the lies are firmly vetted.
I'm mostly just there to carry out nation state attacks now.
Controlled chaos at its best. What about TikTok? Okay, so where does TikTok land in all of this? That being the most latest controversy that's kind of leaking out there about data collection. What are our concerns as general users? How soon is TikTok going to actually get in trouble? What have we discovered so far?
It is very funny to me, like how we never learn from our past mistakes or anything like that, where, in the midst of all these Facebook articles about, wow, they're taking our data, they're like, a part of political misinformation. We have all these articles. There's like TikTok is the new wave. TikTok is very cool and very funny. Teens love it. And it's just, I don't understand how we don't have the same level of scrutiny that we have on TikTok that we have for Facebook currently. It's almost like we didn't learn our lessons from like years ago, where when Facebook and Twitter first came out, they got the same kind of adoring coverage where, isn't it great? Like you can talk to your friends now, and like we look at TikTok and we don't have that perspective currently, which is so funny to me.
Is TikTok, so I'll be perfectly honest, like I don't use TikTok, but is it mostly like video consumption like YouTube, or is it like a communications platform too?
It's more like Vine.
Okay.
So it's not like YouTube, you search up what you want and
but it's not like you go on. Do you go on TikTok to connect with people, or do you just go there to watch like
you
random?
You just go there to
watch
content and like make content,
right?
But I think the problem is that like they do have algorithms that like recommend videos for you, and it plays automatically. It just like scrolls into the next one. So they know who you are and they know how to advertise to you. And then the other part of the problem is that they have been shown to be actively like censoring content.
Yes.
So if you tried posting about Muslims being detained and
or the Hong Kong protests,
it just that video will not show up on TikTok. And then there's the concern about facial recognition, where TikTok has the rights to all those videos. Like every video that's uploaded there, they can just grab that and use that to
and feed that into some sort of AI machine, or
for facial recognition purposes. And the other concern would be like political misinformation. Like if like disinformation campaigns are able to run on Instagram, where it is also like you don't go on Instagram to like connect with people either. You just like scroll through stuff.
Yeah.
Like disinformation campaigns run on there, and there's a very big concern that like they're gonna be able to run on TikTok as well, where moderation does not work that well.
Right.
So like personal data, misinformation, censorship, and you know, being run by an app from like a Chinese government supported company, it's just there's a lot of things to be worried about. That's why Congress like opened an investigation into it for like national security concerns.
So bottom line is just use paper.
All
mail.
apps are bad.
Don't use electronics. Just
I mean,
why are you even watching this site?
If we're talking about an alternative to like connecting with your friends, though, like I just text people now, or I like
you don't use messaging apps.
I'll use Signal.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I like have to use Facebook Messenger for like the dance group stuff, but like you can use Messenger with a deactivated account.
Do you use WhatsApp?
No, I haven't had any reason to, but like I know people that have just to talk with sources the same way I use Signal.
Yeah.
And I've been using Discord a lot lately with like also sources and friend groups, but yeah, just chat apps are a great way to like have your own like siphoned off community. Unfortunately, though, Discord also has a lot of like moderation issues. Like they found like drug dealers and all that stuff going on there.
Well, people are going to exploit that no matter where, no matter when, no matter how. I'm glad you brought up Discord though, because Commander Trium was asking about that as a Facebook alternative.
Yeah, I use Discord to keep in touch with my friends. I know like reporters that have like their own Discord groups, or they'll like set up a Slack channel for themselves. Like, yeah. There's like media Slacks out there, also like hacker Slack groups out there as well. So yeah, these chat apps are like a much better alternative.
There you go. Or paper. Just send a letter to somebody.
As we do away with all contemporary technology, let us announce that the podcast will no longer be available on any platform, YouTube, Periscope, or otherwise. We're just going to go up to the roof of this building and yell really loud. So good luck if you want to be an audience ever again with no apps.
That sounds really cathartic, actually.
Actually, that sounds kind of fun, to be honest. Okay, we only have a minute left. Do you think Facebook is launching new products to distract everyone's attention from their negative press?
No, because like these products definitely just bring in.
I feel like they draw more attention. Like people ask, "Why are you doing this? Why now?" So I don't. It's not some sort of grand plan to distract from the controversy, or if it is, it's a really bad plan.
Bad plan, yeah.
Okay, and then to say goodbye, what is the next and most tone-deaf thing Facebook could possibly do, as they have a track record of this? How far away are we from the Facebook phone?
Didn't they have one?
They had a Facebook phone in the past. It was like they took an Android phone and they basically heavily reskinned it so it was like Facebook centric. I can't remember what the name of that phone was, but it did terribly. It ended up selling
it had
for
like a Facebook button or something, right?
No. There was an earlier phone that HTC made called the Cha-Cha, great name, that had its own dedicated Facebook button. But Facebook then partnered with HTC later on to actually like create a phone that had. Was it Facebook One? I can't remember the name.
Wasn't it like the HTC one?
No. That's the thing. It's confusing because HTC had one, and then there was a HTC made Facebook phone. I mean, they didn't call it the Facebook phone, but it was clearly that's what it was, and it did really, really badly.
Shocking. And on that uplifting note, before we start moving the studio to the roof, as previously mentioned, it's time to say goodbye, but thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow, and Roger, take us on out.
All right, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you can join us here live weekday mornings. And if you have the chance, peek at the links below to learn more about today's topics, and feel free to subscribe to our audio podcast. For the Daily Charge, I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Thanks for joining us.
Can't get enough? Check out the Daily Supercharge, our extended post show with special features, audience Q&A,